everyone. Welcome back to our The Guiding Voice podcast series, The Guiding Voice for a Better Future. And this is our episode number 2. Dear listeners, as mentioned in our introduction, we are here with our very first guest in our show. Our guest for today is Sri Harsha Vadlamani. Harsha has spent 12 years in IT industry and is currently working as technical product manager with General Electric, one of the world's most admired companies. GE is known as a factory of leaders and proud to say that Harsha is one of them.
In our first episode, we wanted to cover an important topic on current hiring trends. As a seasoned empaneled interviewer, let us hear from Harsha to understand what industry expects from aspiring candidates during the interview process and how the candidates can nail down the selection process easily.
In addition to that, we will touch upon a couple of other aspects of hiring like technical and soft skills on demand in the current generation, what kind of roles are assigned to freshers. Also, we are sure our listeners are very curious to understand the overall impact of the COVID situation on jobs and the industry. Thank you, Harsha, for joining us today and for your valuable time. Much appreciated. Harsha, again, great to have you, and we are sure our listeners would have a lot to take away from this discussion. Okay, Harsha. Now that you have spent over 12 years in the industry, can you quickly talk about your corporate journey so far?
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to be a part of your first ever podcast, Naveen. A great privilege, highly obliged to be here, and big words you used for me. Thank you. So, hello all, I am Harsha. My journey so far in the IT industry has been great. Started off as a fresher in Patni Computer Systems in Mumbai in 2008. Got trained in Java and web technologies there. Learned a lot working there for around 2.5 years. And then GE happened in 2010. I moved back to Hyderabad, my hometown, and I joined as a programmer here in General Electric, took over the roles of WebOps lead and project tech lead, and spent around 3 years in those roles. And that's when I thought maybe I should take the next leap in my career. I worked towards getting into a IT leadership program in GE. It's called ITLP, which was a 2-year rotational program which gives you an opportunity to work in different technologies in different GE businesses. So I would say that was a turning point in my career, gave me a lot of exposure, opened up a lot of doors for me and a wealth of new opportunities for me. After graduating from the program, I rolled off into a project manager role in Oracle ERP team and in the GE Power business. And now I am a product manager in the SAP BI team in the same business. That's about me briefly, Naveen.
Thanks, Harsha. That was great. Dear listeners, ITLP program at GE is one of the most coveted leadership programs, and it is not that easy to get into it. And Harsha was successfully able to make an entry. Not only making an entry, but he has successfully graduated from that program and taken a bigger role soon after graduating it. Harsha, you have been to so many campus interviews, conducted off-campus interviews, both for the freshers, and you also interview folks for lateral roles. So can you quickly talk about what is that you look for from freshers when they come for hiring?
Sure, Naveen. The first things we usually look at the outset is the body language, confidence, and the groundedness the person walks into the interview with. And after we start talking, we look for an overall sense of understanding of technology. Well, you can't be in the game if you don't know the rules of the game, right? So forget about winning. You can't even follow the game. It's important to have a sense of understanding of the technological trends in the market. And of course, the presence of mind, the thought process, and the approach towards solving a given problem. Yeah, keeping it programming language agnostic, you should be able to write a pseudocode or an algorithm for any given problem at hand. The answers need not be right always, but the path the candidate is taking towards breaking the problem at hand is very important. Look, no one is ready for the job right from day one, but given some help and guidance, will we be able to find our own ground, and are we up for taking up challenge by its horns? That's the attitude which is essential.
Very well put through, Harsha. I like that statement of being programming language agnostic and focusing on these algorithms. In fact, this reminds me during my engineering days when one of my professors used to insist the same thing, and it helped me during my early stages in the career. Thanks for bringing those important insights. And broadly, Harsha, what are the key things that you think are missing from the candidates, whether it is freshers or the young professionals that attend the interviews?
First things first, Naveen, I think communication. I personally feel a candidate with good, solid communication skills and a good business acumen and a decent understanding of technology can, traverse his way up this complex spider web of corporate world. On the contrary, a person who has, solid technical skills but cannot articulate his or her thoughts very well will find it tough and has to flounder in his or her career. So that is very important thing for me, which I feel is missing in many of our freshers or slash young professionals. So there are many ways to improve that skill in us. Back in the day in 2011-12, Naveen, I remember we used to attend our Toastmaster sessions diligently, sign up for conducting a lot of events and host them and rally a lot of people on the floor, to attend the sessions, and we were successful, right? Like it built a lot of confidence in us. Yeah. And I'm sure like that in turn helped us in our personal and professional lives also. So yeah, working on communication skills is a continuous and an important thing to do, which is kind of missing, unfortunately, in a lot of people. And second thing that is not necessarily for freshers, but rather young professionals, is that the sense of flexibility is missing, I feel. Typecasting yourself to a particular skill or a technology and being rigid to take on new stuff and not keen to explore new avenues is not helping you and would be hindering your career in many ways, right? So they say you're not doing a good job if your job is all you do. We are in an industry where you can go to sleep on one night thinking that you're safe and relevant in your job, but you can be declared extinct when you wake up the next morning. So it's very important to be flexible and ready to pick up and quickly master any work that keeps you afloat and relevant in the industry. So that is one thing which I feel is probably missing in some young professionals and in some cases also some senior professionals.
Harsha, let's talk about something personal. What exactly motivates you? Meaning, how do you spend your free time?
Okay, well, they say if you can't keep the child in you alive, then there is no point in growing up. We all are doing what we are doing to stay happy and lead a content life, not to make someone else rich, right? So we might as well do it properly. I solidly believe in the statement that we should work to have a living or to have a life, but not the other way around. We should not live to just work. So for me, it's very important to pamper myself and ensure I have a happy, content and an eventful life. So I keep myself busy during the weekends. I pursue some hobbies which I always wanted to but could not because of various reasons in the past. So spend quality time with yourself and your loved ones. And there is so much to see in this wonderful world. So travel to as many new places as I can, have a lot of experiences and make it a reminiscent life. So for all this to happen, I think it's very important for one to know how to switch on and switch off from work. That's how I keep myself motivated.
Again, one more interesting perspective, Harsha. I really loved your statement of keeping the child in you alive. That's a very wonderful statement. Thank you for sharing with us. Harsha, so what do you think are the current technology trends that are relevant as of now and maybe for the near future?
I think currently, and at least for the near future, anything relating to data, the way you make sense out of it, whether it's data modeling or data visualization, the whole insight to action concept, where you collect the data and present it in a way which is actionable to the decision makers, not just historical data, but also the future insights which can help prepare your company. I think this will stay here for some time to come. Maybe the way we process our data or look at our data might change, the tools might change, but we need data to do anything. That's that. And other trends, I would say, which are catching up are the blockchain, which can change the way a lot of things work currently in the world. Artificial intelligence and machine learning, of course, which if used correctly can make our lives easier in many ways. Well, trends keep changing in our field, as you know the best, Naveen. We already spoke about it earlier. So the important thing is for us to stay informed and not live in a cave where you come out of it one day and realize that you're out of trend.
Absolutely, Harsha. We need to be up to date in terms of what is happening on the technology front, irrespective of whether we are working on the technology or not, or else we will be treated obsolete. And I'm glad you mentioned about data, blockchain, artificial intelligence. So these are all the contemporary trends at least somebody should be aware of. Given a chance, I think our listeners should focus on mastering them and also contribute to any crowdsourcing projects. All right. So thanks, Harsha. Now coming to the most relevant and probably curious question, which our listeners might be very much interested on. Given that we have been in the lockdown, quarantine, and everything being shut down, people started working from home. Given this tough COVID situation, how do you think it is going to influence the job market?
Well, I think Naveen, it might be a little too early to comment about how it is going to impact the job market, as most of the companies have freezed their hiring and are like playing a waiting game to see how it is going to pan out, right? I think we all agree that it is going to impact us in a big way, no doubt about that. But how is what we will have to wait and see. In my opinion, an idea which can solve a day-to-day problem of a commoner using technology will always fly. And in the post-COVID world, there will be a lot of new opportunities and a lot of new problems to solve, for where technology will be in forefront to solve those problems. As our honorable PM was also saying in one of his interviews, we will need new business models to solve the new problems we are going to face in the future. So any jobs in those avenues, especially the e-commerce and the virtual world which we are going to live in, which is going to get more and more eminent in the future, I think we will have a lot of boom in those particular sectors. The rest of it, I think we'll have to wait and see.
Harsha, Naveen actually converted this conversation into a serious one, man. Harsha, what exactly is your favorite quote?
Favorite quote, I think too many to remember. It keeps changing often, and also depending on the phase of life you are in.
Currently, I think I would say one quote which stuck with me for quite some time now is by Gautama Buddha. I also feel that it's a good philosophy to live by. It goes by like this: happiness is a choice; it's not a result. Nothing will make you happy until you choose to be happy. No person will make you happy unless you decide to be happy. Your happiness will not come to you. It can only come from you.
That's amazing. Again, this reminds me of one of my recent reads, which also talks about do not wait for the happiest moment, or do not wait for a situation to come to be happy. Just try to make yourself happy and you'll be happy.
Yeah. Harsha, actually, you talked about problem solving skills, communication, flexibility. Anything else that you would add to the list as a tip for our listeners to be more successful in interviews or in their professional careers?
Tips, I think I already shared a lot. As I said, like communication is key. It is the base on which everything else is built. So keep working on it continuously, and being flexible, as I mentioned, is also a key. Focus on solving the problem, not the technology. Everything else will fall in place. Like if you are like trying to solve a problem, forget about what tool you're going to use, and the economics of the tool will come into picture in the second phase. But if you are able to give a right, definitely. And probably the other tips which I would say is for youngsters, subscribe to a blog to keep yourself updated. You can catch up easily on the trends which are in the market, and follow a particular company or a leader or a pioneer in technology who you think is your role model, be it on Twitter or on Instagram or on LinkedIn. Anywhere you can just follow that person, see how that thought process works for leaders like them. That will keep you in the know of the things happening in the technical world, right? Maybe I would just add that make it a point to work out regularly or play a sport regularly. It makes a world of difference. Our mental well-being depends a lot on our physical well-being, I believe. That is one more thing.
That's really cool. And, you talked about developing some habit, and Naveen was mentioning about you getting a music certification. Do you want to throw some light on that? What exactly is that you are doing?
Oh, yes. Yeah, it was one of the things which I always wanted to do. I'm learning to play jazz drums. We follow the curriculum of Trinity College of Music, London, and I just recently finished giving my exam for grade 2. I still have a long way to go, so there are total 8 grades in it, and it might take probably 2-3 more years. I've started this 1.5 years ago. I'm just waiting for the lockdown to end to get back to my drum kit. I already miss it a lot. It's basically a real stress buster for me, and I always believed a sustainable hobby will give you a company in bad times in your life. So that's the reason why I picked it up.
That is cool, Harsha. So pretty soon we can actually invite Harsha the drummer as our special guest in one of our future episodes. On that note, Harsha, we really appreciate you taking time, and thank you so much for accepting our invitation in such a short notice. It has been a wonderful conversation, and thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. We really appreciate it.
So, Harsha, thank you so much for accepting our invitation in such a short notice. And in fact, it was very, very wonderful to have you as our very first guest and dwell a bit. It reminded me and made me nostalgic about our good old GE days. And we are sure that our listeners will love every bit of this episode and will benefit a lot out of it. Thank you again, Harsha.
Thank you very much for inviting me to be a part of your first ever podcast.
Now, folks, coming to our trivia part. Today's trivia is something about most of us might have been curious at some point or the other, and it is related to keyboard layout. Why are alphabets placed in QWERTY format but not sorted in order like A, B, C, D, E? Alright, I'm sure everyone is curious now. Let me reveal the secret. It is said that QWERTY format on keyboard was designed to slow us down. There are two widely accepted theories around this. The first one is linked to our manual typewriters. If someone typed too fast, the keys would jam. That's why QWERTY placed common alphabets at a distance from each other so that typists are slowed down. And the second theory is related to telegraph operators, and they designed the QWERTY layout because it was easier to decipher Morse code. Either way, neither of these stories are attributable to current computers. Now that it is widely accepted model, no one is thinking about alternate option as people are used to it and find no value in changing the format. Alright folks, if you would like to share any trivias in our show, please feel free to share them through email. And our email ID is theguidingvoiceforyou@gmail.com. I'm going to spell it: the guiding voice, number 4, letter U @gmail.com, or you can alternately WhatsApp us on India number 9494587187. We will not only share the best trivias in future episodes, but also we will announce your names. Alright, so fasten your seatbelts and send your trivias. Again folks, we are open for suggestions on topics that you would like to hear from us, and you can email your suggestions on our email address, theguidingvoiceforyou@gmail.com. I repeat, the email address is theguidingvoice number 4, letter U @gmail.com, and I'm going to spell it: the guiding voice, THEGUIDINGVOICE digit 4 letter U @gmail.com, or you can also WhatsApp us on India number 9494587187. We request you to like our page on Facebook and other social media to be able to expand our community. Facebook.com/The Guiding Voice for You, and also you may follow us on Twitter, twitter.com/Guiding Voice, to stay tuned about our future episodes. There is more in store. Until next time, have a wonderful time, take care and be safe. Thank you for listening.